few genres foster as strong of a fan base as horror does. With a wide range of subgenres and approaches, 2021 has already produced many interesting and, most importantly, scary films for fans of the genre to enjoy. Let's check out Top 10 Horror Movies 2021. Before starting the video, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon so you will get notified when we upload the next video. Number 10. Candyman 6.0. Rent on Apple TV. The supernatural horror film Candyman is a direct sequel to the 1992 film of the same name and follows Anthony as he returns to the now gentrified Cabarini neighborhood, where he discovers the truth about Candyman. The sequel makes some innovative changes to the original Candyman, such as turning Candyman into a sort of local hero, while updating the classic for the modern day. By tapping into the social commentary elements from the original, the sequel is able to tell a relevant and timely story. Number 9. Don't Breathe 2 6.1. Buy on Vudu. The horror sequel Don't Breathe 2 picks up years after the original and follows Norman as he attempts to live a quiet life with a girl he claims to have adopted. But his ruse is disrupted when the girl is kidnapped, forcing him to leave his home to find her. While the sequel left fans with many unanswered questions and was not as well received as the original, it does make some interesting choices and takes the franchise in a completely different direction by changing the setting and injecting more action into the movie. Number 8. Blood Red Sky 6.1. Stream on Netflix. The British-German Netflix movie Blood Red Sky follows a woman with a severe illness who is aboard an airplane that gets hijacked by terrorists. However, the hijackers quickly realize that her illness is not what it seems. Blood Red Sky is a great airplane thriller that makes use of the claustrophobic setting to maximize the thrills. It is an effective single-location film that executes a simple but inventive premise on a high level. It features a great twist that cleverly uses a horror subgenre to set the film apart from other similar movies. In this terrific Netflix horror thriller, Perry Baumeister plays a German vampire named Nadja, whose attempt to fly across the Atlantic and receive treatment for her condition is wrecked when her plane is taken over by hijackers. To protect her still human son, Nadja sets out taking apart the armed goons, with unexpected, thrilling, and blood-drenching consequences. Outlander fans with strong stomachs may care to know that Graham McTavish has a supporting role. Number 7. A Quiet Place 2. One of the first films to be given a wide release this year, director John Krasinski's sequel to his 2018 hit offered a string of nerve-rendering set pieces as Evelyn, played by the director's real-life wife, Emily Blunt, and her brode continue their attempt to survive in a world overrun by blind monsters. "I was never going to do it if he didn't direct it," Blunt said to EW. "My hands were tied by the brilliance of the ideas, and his hands were tied because I said he had to direct me." A good sequel will build upon the foundation of the previous film, and it will expand the premise in new and in interesting ways, while still retaining the key morsels that the fans want. And that's precisely what The Quiet Place 2 crew pulls off. We get a taste of what we loved in A Quiet Place, and we also get a compelling new hook to hang the franchise on. This time, instead of holing up in their homestead, the Abbott clan realize they have to hit the road in a quest for safer shelter. But the sound-sensitive alien monsters are roaming the countryside, looking, or listening, for new victims. Number 6. Malignant 6.3. Rent on Apple TV. From fan-favorite horror director James Wan, Malignant is about a woman who sees vivid visions of horrific murders that turn out to be real. Her attempt to figure out why she is seeing these violent crimes leads her to confront dark secrets from her past. Because Malignant's off-the-wall twist that intentionally sends the movie into B-movie territory is so divisive, some consider the film to be too ridiculous, while others love the bold story choices. The film is undeniably interesting and bound to elicit an emotional response from the viewer. Aquaman director James Wan returns to his down-and-dirty Saw-era horror roots with this bonkers and bloody tale of a woman who starts to remotely witness murders after receiving a blow to her head. Right after Aquaman 1, I knew I was jumping into Aquaman 2 at some point, but I needed to take a little break. "I needed a palate cleanser," said the director. "There's only so many PG-13 movies I can make before I get bored of that. I honestly just miss my Saw days, my Death Sentence days, and my Dead Silence days. and I wanted to go do those again. Number 5. The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. 6.3. Inspired by a true story, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It continues the story of Ed and Lorraine Warren's case files as they encounter a man who claims to have committed murder as a result of demonic possession. The film is a bit uneven, featuring some generally effective and haunting sequences, but suffering from some pacing issues. The movie does not fully maximize the potential of its premise, but the presence of the Warrens and some strong moments help alleviate the film over other 2021 horror films. Number 4. Lamb. 6.6. A24 has recently developed a reputation for releasing slow-burn, thoughtful horror movies, and its latest release, Lamb, is no exception. The film tells a story of a childless couple that discovers a mysterious human-sheep hybrid that they began raising as their own child. While the film may not be as traditionally scary as other films, it is an effective psychological horror movie that uses its striking premise and haunting atmosphere to deliver a striking and emotional metaphor about grief and loss. For those looking to be challenged and stimulated by horror movie, Lamb is a film worth watching. Number 3. Spiral. From the Book of Saw. Spiral attempts to mostly wipe the slate clean for the Saw franchise, as in, you thankfully don't need to have seen any of the previous entries to follow along. It is a fresh story with all new characters, set in a world where Jigsaw has been dead for quite a while now. The film stars Chris Rock as Detective Ezekiel Zeke Banks and Max Mangilla as Detective William Shank, his rookie partner. The two of them are tasked with leading an investigation into who's behind a series of grisly killings, murders that resemble the horrifying work of the infamous Jigsaw. A bona fide copycat is on the loose, and they're specifically targeting cops. The scary story, if gore and some more gore is your horror movie vibe, may we present the latest and 9th film in the Saw franchise, Spiral. Though the original Jigsaw killer, creepy voice man with a creepy clown puppet who makes victims solve near-impossible death puzzles to prove their worth, has apparently died, a copycat is on the loose. It is up to Detective Zeke Bank, Chris Rock, to solve the puzzle and save lives. The story goes that Chris Rock had an original idea with which to reboot the Saw series, originally launched in 2004 by James Wan's twisted thriller that influenced an industry. And Rock basically talked his way into the production's existence. The premise of blending Rock's comic sensibility, which is often brilliant, with the universe of inspired traps and conflicting morality, sounded incredible on paper. And then Samuel L. Jackson came on board, along with one of the directors from the original franchise, Darren L. Bozeman, who helmed parts 2 through 4. While it's not hard to see what Spiral could have been, it's even easier to pick out where it failed to live up to that potential. Interesting ideas are raised but unexplored, and even the traps are uninspired this time around. The Jigsaw Killer himself would probably like a word or two with these filmmakers, people who may have cribbed some of the pages of the franchise but never really understood the book. Number 2. The Night House. Why it's good. The amazing Rebecca Hall stars as a recent widow who starts to learn some very disturbing things about her late husband. And since that's a fairly conventional setup, it's a good thing that The Night House has a lot more to offer than that. It's one of those sedate and low-key horror films that's more interested in character and humanity, and in simple door slams and jump scares. Not only is this a powerful reminiscence of loss and recovery, it's also quietly and confidently creepy. Number 1. Titane. 6.9. Rent on Vudu. The French horror film Titane follows a young woman who had a metal plate implanted in her head after a childhood car accident, as she grows up to become a serial killer who gets impregnated by a car. Few films are as visceral or shocking as Titane, as director Julia Ducournau continues to push the envelope and uses striking body horror imagery to communicate her allegorical stories. The movie is provocative and at times disturbing, but certainly thought-provoking and fascinating, making Titane the best horror movie of 2021 thus far. Do let us know in the comments which one of them you would like to see, or if you watched any of them, do share the reviews with us. Thanks for watching.